podcast, and we want to support all our partners. Here is Ben and his new podcast, Baker Rangers Movie Talks. Follow Ben and his guests as they review a movie of the week. If you want to see more from Billy, Ben, myself, or all our partners, please follow us at Zero to Hero Pod across all platforms. And without further ado, here is Baker Rangers Movie Talks with Ben and all his technical problems.
And hi, welcome to Baker Rangers, and this is Baker Rangers Movie Talk. This is a place where we can talk about movies that we love and have a good time. And today we are here with Phenomenal Jaan from TikTok. Well, they're both from TikTok, and you guys have seen the Bilaller, King Bilaller. We talked about Batman a few weeks ago, and it was a great show. So, thank you guys for being on tonight. I know it's late here. Well, it's late for me and Bilaller. It's not terribly late for Jaan. But
the California time, so
yeah. So new guest, tell me about yourself, Jaan, just as far as your love for movies and everything else.
Yeah, hey guys, how's it going? My name is Jaan, at Phenomenal Jaan on TikTok. I mainly focus on comic book videos, so comics, comic book movies, games, TV shows, anything like that. Pretty excited to talk about Marvel and DC, especially the Batman, Moon Knight coming up, and a lot more. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bilaller, I know you've been on our show before, but let us know who you are.
I'm King Bilaller. I'm a huge fan of movies and the NBA, and I'm really excited to talk about the direction that DC and Marvel is bringing to the table in the future. And I'm working on a project that I could talk about now, but I'm not going to talk about now.
We might talk about it in the close. So
yeah,
it's exciting what he's doing, and we're excited for him. So
Everyone's gonna follow.
So Jaan is on TikTok as Phenomenal Jaan, and it's Jaan. And I'm messing myself up right there. Bam. There. Bilaller. He's the cinematic King Bilaller on TikTok. Also, King Bilaller NBA, because he loves the NBA. So, and both have great content about comic books with Jaan and movies. And Bilaller is really awesome with his movie reviews, actor reviews, and his NBA reviews. So we are basically talking about comic books. I was about to say college football. We're not talking about college football. We're talking about comic book movies. This is Movie Talk, so we're talking about movies. So we're going to start with DC, and then we'll talk about a little bit about what Marvel's doing. So me and Bilaller did our review with Batman. Jaan, can you tell us what you thought about the Batman?
Yeah, well, I love the Batman. I've seen it twice now. It's probably going to be my favorite movie of the year, and the year just started, pretty much. It doesn't make me that excited for the rest of the DCEU. I'm more so excited for what Matt Reeves does in the future with the Batman, because the DCEU, as we're going to talk about in a little bit, is all over the place. But the Batman does make me excited to see what's going on in the future. So,
yeah, you can probably say it's the DCEUs plural, because you don't know what universe you're in with each movie. So what about you, Bilaller? I know you talked about how good, how much you love the Batman, but what is your excitement level with what DC is doing?
Unfortunately, my excitement level for DCU has been lower due to the delays that are happening. However, I'm still really hyped to check out Black Adam. That's the only DCU project I'm looking forward towards the most. The rest of the projects don't really get me hyped or excited because of the delays. But one thing I do appreciate is having Shazam 2 coming a little bit earlier than usual. But it's being on a release date beside Avatar 2, which is a smart business move on a DC point of view or Warner Brothers point of view, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm really kind of wondering like what Warner Brothers is thinking with a lot of things, because it almost seems like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, and then when the right hand does something, the left hand has got to change what he was going to do in the first place. So, especially with how successful the Batman was, and then all of a sudden they pushed back all their movies, like everything got pushed back. Because and the weird thing is, they had their DCEU trailer, that showcased the Batman, Flash, Black Adam, Aquaman, and they're like, these movies are coming out in 2022, and was it only Aquaman is coming out in 2022? Is it Aquaman or is it Black Adam?
Oh no, Aquaman got delayed to March 17, 2023, I believe.
So it's
just, I think it's just Black Adam.
Okay, yeah, that's March.
It's super pet.
Okay, so they just pushed back Aquaman and a Flash, but the Black Adam is
the other two are still.
Okay, so they got pushed back like another year, so that's next year. So with DC now only have 2 movies now. Marvel has 2022 stacked. Well, every year is stacked when it comes to Marvel, and DC has been trying to I don't know if they're trying to do the same thing. They kind of dropped the ball with Justice League and just doing too much all at once, to now again doing too much all at once and then having to spread it out further than they want to. Because I was actually kind of looking forward to Flashpoint. Sorry, go ahead, John or Bilaller.
Which kind of sucks about DC? The Batman was so successful. They should capitalize on the success this year and just get their movies out to get their fandom more hyped, instead delaying these movies and getting us less excited, especially putting out that trailer that got every single person hyped to check a DC movie. They're finally putting themselves on the mark and getting fans into DC, but they keep delaying these movies and we get less excited. It's just not a good business move. End of the day.
Yeah, and they wanted to extend or Flash, with expanding that DCEU from Justice League, and Aquaman did so well that they wanted to continue that, but now they had the Joker that came out a few years ago. That was after they thought that I don't know if it was after they thought the DCU was or Justice League anyway, just didn't do very well. And it did well, but it was its own thing, and it was great. You had last year you had the Suicide Squad, which was
fantastic.
Rave reviews, and it's kind of in the same realm of the DCEU because the first Suicide Squad was in the Justice League universe. But the Suicide Squad was kind of like this. It's the same universe for the Suicide Squad, but they just kind of stepped it out, and made it its own thing.
But all the reason Ghost movies are so successful was because Ghost directors have creative control of their vision that they want to bring to the table for DCU or DC projects. And you see when DC wants something a certain way, and you see Ghost movies flop horrendously. For example, Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad 2016. Those movies were terrible. And the Justice League in 2017 as well. So when you give these directors their own creative mindset, you can really build a great story and a great movie in general.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, what's your thought on that, John?
Yeah, I mean, like he was saying, with the creative vision of the directors, I mean, if you look at the Snyder Cut last year, and of course what James Gunn did with not only the Suicide Squad, but Peacemaker, the Peacemaker excites me more than any other DC project, and it was a character I never cared about before. So I definitely think that DC needs to. I mean, I'm a DC sympathizer. I like a lot of their movies more than most people do, but it's always a broken record. It's like they delayed this, they don't know what they're doing with this, and it gets kind of frustrating as a fan, especially as someone who likes these movies more than most people do. But yeah, I want them to get on track. I know I'm probably gonna like Black Adam, but I'm not excited for Flash. I'm not that excited for Aquaman 2. And I get Shazam 2, I'm excited for it, but that's only because I like the first one. So it's kind of a mess right now.
Yeah, and I'm excited for Shazam 2 because the first Shazam was like it was great, and it was, you could say it fits in the DCEU just because of the last scene where but you don't really know what Superman that was because you don't actually see Henry Cavill there. So like it does seem like I think they can hit it off better just keeping properties by themselves and doing it the old fashioned way, I guess you could say, and just letting the characters sell themselves and let these directors share their vision of the story. Maybe except for when they did Justice League and Zack Snyder had to he because of family tragedy he stepped away, and so they decided to bring in Joss Whedon, who is night and day different than Zack Snyder when it comes to
you can really tell. You can really tell the Joss Whedon's version of Justice League. There's some scenes that feel like Zack Snyder, and there's some scenes that feel like Joss Whedon with the lighthearted, weird jokes. And it just felt like such a mess of a movie because you were like, oh, I could tell Zack Snyder directed this part of the movie. I could see Joss Whedon directed this part of the movie. But the tone of the movie was a horrible mess of a movie end of the day. And poor Superman with the mustache. We don't talk about that, but it did Superman dirty.
He didn't have a mustache. What are you talking about? I didn't see a mustache.
I mean, when they intentionally remove his mustache, that's what I meant.
He had a weird upper lip, though, for some reason. I don't know. He probably took some Botox or something. That's what I'm gathering from that. I didn't think that Justice League was that bad when it came out. I wasn't terribly excited for it because I'm not as big in DC as I am with Marvel, but it was okay, but it wasn't horrible. And to me, the Zack Snyder cut, I will probably be opposite of a lot of people when it comes to popularity stuff because people love the Zack Snyder cut. I thought it was good, but to me, it wasn't that too much different story wise than the 2017 version. It was just like a longer version with a lot of stuff in it, darker tone, not as lighthearted, Joss Whedon-esque. But it's like if you took, well, technically that's what they did. They took Joss Whedon out of Justice League, and that's what they did. But but it wasn't.
But
it was.
I did wait. Sorry. But I did appreciate Zack Snyder's Justice League bringing out more character development to characters that we don't know that much, especially Cyborg. Ray Fisher absolutely killed everything those things he was in, especially with the emotional aspect. And I can't believe that Warner Bros. Did him so dirty.
Yeah, they and I think that's the direction Zack Snyder took with his cut was, let's do some things. They're finally letting me do what I want to do, and I'm going to do some things that Warner Brothers isn't going to agree with, but they're going to put it out anyway because that's what the fans want. And it turned out great for the fans and great for WB or DC WB, but there was no intention to do anything after that. So it was like they were trying to kill it off, but still keep what they've already spent millions of dollars on, like with the Flash and Aquaman sequels, to keep those going, just for a glimmer of hope that they can extend it. But they know that they lost Ben Affleck because the Batman was originally going to be Ben Affleck Batman directing the Batman. So then they went a different direction because he stepped away from the character before they decided to do the Zack Snyder cut. So, and I'm talking too much. I'm sorry. I tend to ramble a lot,
No.
so
No, you're good. You're good.
I will. So we'll talk about each movie individually of what's coming up. I guess the next one would be Black Adam, and that's not until what, December or November, October?
Let me search
It's
it up.
in the fall.
It was like the second movie that was
I
going to come
think,
out.
I think it's October
Okay.
thing. One second.
So we were going to wait until June or July for the Flash, and then now we're going to wait longer for Black Adam.
Wait. Oh, it's October 21st, 2022.
Okay. The day before my
October
nephew's
21st,
birthday.
yeah.
Okay. So now we got to wait that long for the next DC movie. So, Jaan, what are you kind of looking forward to? Because we don't really know anything about it outside of The Rock being Black Adam, and you have a few other actors that's in it. But other than that, not much. So, what are your thoughts on Black Adam?
Black Adam looks pretty interesting to me. It's The Rock. I'm a big wrestling fan, so anything that he does, I'll be excited for. And it looks like he really does care about the character. I mean, I hope they don't go anti-hero route too much. I do want The Rock to be a full-on villain. I want to see him try that. And I do want to see this. I've heard a few people say they don't want to see this Black Adam interact with that Shazam. I don't agree. I want to see this Black Adam interact with this Shazam. I think it'll be a different dynamic. They're very different from each other. And overall, I'm excited to see where this places him in the DCEU, especially since we're getting Dr. Fate, Hawkman, and many more other JSA members. So it's pretty exciting. It's the most exciting out of all the DC products that doesn't have Batman in it. So,
what about you, Bilaller?
Well, Black Adam's a character that I don't know too much about, but I'm really excited to see the interesting portrayal that The Rock is going to bring to the table, well as having the JSA members of Hawkman. I'm especially excited to see Hawkman in Black Adam because of all the Hodge acting ability that I've seen in his previous work. He's just a really great actor, so I'm really excited to see him what he brings to the table as Hawkman. And you have Fry's, how do you say his last name? Bronson as Dr. Fate. That's going to be absolutely a phenomenal performance by him. I'm extremely excited to see what he brings to the table as Dr. Fate. How about you, Ben?
Well, I don't know a whole lot because before Shazam and the mention of Black Adam, I never even heard of Black Adam. So, or Hawkman or Dr. Fate. So I can't really have an opinion based off the comic book characters, but I can on The Rock. We've seen him, and he's in every action movie. This is his first go around with superhero. I don't know if he's been in any kind of comic book movie or not. So, so this is the first we'll see him in a role like this. But being The Rock, he's a lot like some of those actors that they play themselves whenever they're in the movies. So it's like The Rock as Black Adam. And I guess he's a bad guy in the comics.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I could see that with the dynamic with Shazam, because when I saw the DCEU trailer, when I first saw the suit, I thought, oh, is that Shazam too? No, that's Black Adam. So I guess the style is still the same from that to Shazam. So I would like to see him versus Zachary Levi, and the Kid Gang, whatever, I don't know what their names are for the Shazam group, to be a part of that. Maybe this is going to segue to the next Shazam movie.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm going to watch it. I don't know what I'm looking forward to, but I'm going to watch it. And which sometimes that's the best way to view some of these movies, because that's how when I saw Shazam, I'm like, I know of Shazam. I even know that he was the original Captain Marvel before Marvel took the name Captain Marvel.
Right.
or yeah, and then they had to
You're
change
right.
it. Then they had to change it to Shazam for like the 1970s show. Um, but or in the comics. But when I saw the movie, I'm like, that's one of my favorite DC. I guess you could say DCEU movies. There's a lot of good ones. That one, Joker. Um, well, never mind. So there's a few good ones in there. But so so yeah, that's it's kind of where I am with that. I'm kind of interested in the Flashpoint, just because I I think what they're going with this is to recreate the magic of what Marvel did with Spider-Man
Mhm.
and bring in probably, well, not the OG superhero, because you had Christopher Reeves as Superman before Michael Keaton was Batman, but you're going to have Michael Keaton Batman in this movie. You're going to have multiple different Flashes, so you want to know how that's going to work, to um, how that's going to play out, and the why bring in Michael Keaton Batman movie, because that universe was kind of, all the Batmans are outside of Ben Affleck is more of a lived in world, the real world. There's no magic, there's no this and that. So to bring a character where doesn't exist into a world like this might not might I don't know. It might just not play off as well as they want. But I did like that they announced that he was going to be in it rather than do the Marvel
Yeah.
route, because even though the Marvel route did uh, create excitement for what if, they had to be in it because the fans build up so much hype because of that, and if they weren't in it, the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, it probably would have bombed. Even if it was a good movie, just because that's what people wanted to see. And that was the best part of the movie anyway, whenever they were in there. So I like that they already announced that, so there's not this just annoying. Is he? Well, I don't know why people would even think Batman would be in the movie anyway. So,
Right.
but so what are your thoughts, John, on the Flashpoint movie?
So I have mixed feelings on it. I mean, I'm not the multiverse stuff is not my cup of tea. The reason why I like Peacemaker so much is because, and the Batman is like street level stuff. That's where I get into more. So the more cosmic and multiversal stuff, that's where sometimes I kind of tune out. And the Flash movie, his first ever live action movie, being a multiverse one, doesn't necessarily excite me as much as other people would be excited for. And I know I just said earlier that I love a lot of DC movies more than most people do, but I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Keaton as Batman, so I don't really need to see him come back. And I don't need Spider-Man No Way Home with Batman and Flash. I just want it to be a good movie. I would have preferred this to be a Flash solo movie, just like he just stops Captain Cold or Captain Boomerang. That's what I would have preferred. But whatever we're getting here, I hope it at least leads to something interesting. The movie, from the trailers and what we heard so far, it sounds like a mess, but obviously I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts, because I think this was just a Marvel spoof, is what they're doing. Is they see what Marvel's doing, so they just want to copy it, which is what they do with Justice League, and it bombed, and just like they're going through the same motions, and getting the same results. That's what insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, and it's not working. What about you, Bilaller?
For me, I'm not really too excited for the Flash movie. I feel like for first Flash movie that we're going to see live action, they're doing way too much right out of the bat. They're making this movie way too big. We don't need to see two Batmans. We don't need to see two Flashes. They could have done like a very simplistic story with the Flash learning his powers and having start a rivalry with Flash for the trilogy or something like that. But I think they're doing something way too big and very unnecessary for the first Flash movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's to me it's kind of like a callback to Batman versus Superman because Man of Steel set up the Superman universe, and then they saw the hype for Avengers, and they want to get to a Justice League. So rather than trying to build this thing out, a little bit at a time, they just cut to the chase because instead of having a Batman movie, you had Batman versus Superman, which was basically it was Justice League is what it was because you had Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. So I don't know why they didn't call it Batman versus Superman versus Wonder Woman because she was a big part of it too. So and they were the biggest pieces in Justice League. So I think they just kind of they tried too hard just to get to where Marvel was already at, rather than be themselves, because they don't do that in the comics. You do have maybe not storylines, but you have characters that are similar between Marvel and DC. Marvel will have a popular character, so DC will create a popular character, and vice versa. But with the movies, you don't need to do that. Just look at what works and just go with that. DC is different than Marvel, and they need to accept that it's different.
But speaking of DC, look at their solo projects. Well, first movies of their solo projects, such as Man of Steel and Wonder Woman, there were more simplistic coming to age stories ish, same thing with Shazam, and that's what really worked with those movies. I don't see that working with the Flashpoint movie since they do so much with the character. I just want a simplistic story focusing on Ezra Miller Flash, learning his powers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll, since they've already kind of established the Flash in Batman versus Superman as already knowing his powers. So unless they do like a prequel, I yeah, I don't know if they would go that route with a lot of things because a lot of the fans now they're not wanting origin stories anymore. So they're happy with characters just get into the nitty gritty. Stop spending an hour and a half on an origin story when you can get to what the superhero is about. Which I like origin stories, but a lot of times the origin stories are the best, and they stop writing characters as well when it's just the superhero. But with the Batman, it worked because it was a Batman movie, not a Bruce Wayne movie. You barely saw Bruce Wayne, and I think that works for it. Even though I thought it was okay, like I didn't think it was great. Like I liked it the second time I saw it, but it is more of a refreshing take on this is the Batman, not Batman movie with everything. It's basically a Batman story, and I feel like a lot of times if you go to the alter ego stories, they're really not as they can be compelling when outside of love stories because they love putting love stories in everything, but it's about the villains and the heroes, and I like that. I do like the route that went. And Joker wasn't even a comic book esque movie. Like you can make the Joker, you could have called it The Man Who Laughs, and it would have been a great movie, not connected to any comic book. Even though there's Bruce Wayne in there and stuff, but that could have been some other billionaire person or whatever. But they make this where they stand on their own, and those are the better ones. Even the team ones, like with the Suicide Squad, because you didn't have to put it in the DCEU world. They took it out. They brought in a director who is great with ensemble casts, and it worked out for him, and they were able to spin off Peacemaker, Sorry, I'm thinking about my favorite video game series, Metal Gear. There's a Peace Walker was one of the games. Um, and it did well. And I think that's what they were going to do with Batman because they were going to have it was either a Penguin show or a Gotham PD show, and then
Yeah,
I
so
guess
they announced a Penguin show and a GCPD show. So they're based. I think they're both are going to be prequels. So they're also going to be in the same universe, but they're standalone things. They're not in the DCEU. They're in the Matt Reeves Batman universe.
I heard that they canceled the Gotham PD show though.
Oh, I didn't hear they canceled that one because I know Penguin for sure is greenlit and is going to be coming out in a few years or next year or something. I'm not sure, but I didn't hear about the Gotham PD being canceled. I'm not sure.
I think Gotham PD. There was one show that got canceled. Yeah. Here's a Variety article from March 7th. So they changed it from Gotham PD to Arkham. So there's some.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was confusing them.
Yeah. So they're gonna do the Arkham. What I think. See, Gotham PD. I think would be interesting. However, you already got the Gotham show, which was based, around Jim Gordon, and they already did something like that. So you want to do something new, and with Arkham, you can showcase more of these villains. Because I think Batman of the DC characters have the best villains. So if we can, stay in that world for a little bit, like jump it out of the DCEU. Keep it where fans are enjoying it, and just let fans enjoy it, and then just grow from there. So hopefully they'll learn their lesson, but I think it might take a few years after the Flash and Aquaman movies come out, where they can basically dissolve themselves from that DCEU universe and not start a new one, but just go with these original concepts.
Yeah.
So we will talk about Aquaman. So that's the other one that's coming out. What you said, March of next year. So it was originally December, and that got pushed back to March.
March 17, 2023,
yes,
I believe.
March 17th. Yeah. So we got another year before Aquaman. So, and there are some things about the new Aquaman that some people are not really too fond of with when it comes to an actress that's in this movie. But what are your thoughts and expectations for Aquaman 2, John?
I hate to give a short answer, but I'm not really excited for Aquaman 2. I didn't even like the first one, to be honest with you. I thought the first one was, I guess, mediocre. I wasn't into it. I think Jason Momoa was the only good part of the first one. And again, like you said, Amber Heard, that whole situation doesn't interest me at all. I guess the only thing that excites me about Aquaman 2 is saying Jason Momoa again, and of course saying Black Manta again. But other than that, my excitement for that was pretty low.
What about you, Bilaller?
I'm in the same boat as John, but I'll say I enjoyed the first Aquaman movie because of the cheesy feeling of the movie, but I'm really excited to see Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Black Manta because I absolutely love Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as an actor. He's just killing it lately with The Matrix. He's about being in a movie called The Ambulance in 2022 soon. And I'm just happy to see him become successful as an actor. So extremely excited to see him return as Black Manta. And of course, Jason Momoa return as Aquaman. So that's going to be something exciting. And then you got James Wan directing the second one once again. So we'll see how that goes. And we need to recast Amber Heard. That's the only issue I have with the movie. But I think I'm mediocrely excited.
Yeah, I actually really liked Aquaman. To me, of the DCEU movies, of the Justice League DCEU movies, it was probably my number 2. I think Wonder Woman was my number 1 movie of all that. And it might have been number 2. After Wonder Woman, the bar was pretty low, so maybe it was better than the other one, so I just enjoyed it more. And I love James Wan as a writer director. I love the Saw movies. Like, he created Saw, which is kind of weird. Now he's doing Fast and Furious movies and Aquaman, and he's still producing those horror movies. But yeah, it's another one of those things. Like, I would be more excited if it was like 2019. I'd be more excited for this movie, but for come out in 2023, it's not necessary. Again, because the best DC movies are the movies that either don't take place in the same universe or disconnect itself from the universe that it was in. With Suicide Squad, and even probably Shazam too, because it can go that same route. So yeah, it's not necessary in the whole thing with Amber Heard. It doesn't make sense for me that Warner Brothers would fire one party and not fire the other party, because both the Harry Potter and the DC are Warner Brothers rights movies or franchises. So it just kind of a weird thing going on there. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm gonna see it. I might enjoy it. I might not enjoy it. So since they pushed it back another 3 months, it's remains to be seen on if it's gonna if you push a movie back too many times, it's there. You got darker there.
Yeah, everything's falling apart here.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
my lighting is like DC right now.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like with the execs at DC and Warner Brothers, if they are just fighting amongst themselves on what they want to do, and or you might even have some directors or producers that want to carry on this thing and that thing, and they just don't see eye to eye, so they just rush to well, let's just do this now. Let's just do this. Let's stop fighting. Let's do this.
Miscommunication on the department. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They're trying. They don't need to catch up with Marvel. Like, Marvel is on its own. They need to let Marvel be Marvel. Eventually, Marvel may start, coming down. But you don't do that by chasing Marvel. You do that by being yourself. And if they keep putting out movies like the Batman and the Joker and Shazam, they could have more success where people care more about their movies, because I don't think people really want them to be Marvel, and they don't have to be.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want them to be. I like when Disney bought Marvel, I did not care for it. I was like, oh no, Disney bought Marvel. This was like 2008, and they already planned on doing Iron Man, or Incredible Hulk, and I think it was just those two. But Universal had Incredible Hulk, so they were making that independently from Paramount that was doing Iron Man. But then Marvel bought the property and then decided to turn this into the MCU. But it took them 5 movies to get to Avengers. So
yeah,
and the phase 1 is probably the least exciting of the phases, but they put the pieces in place. They put Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, then they did Iron Man 2, then they did Thor, and then Captain America was basically the preview to go into the Avengers, and then you had the Avengers. So,
Right.
But wait, my original point was I like individual stories. Whenever people were clamoring for Spider-Man to be in the MCU, I was 100,000% against it. I mostly because I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I wanted that storyline to continue. I wanted Spider-Man to just be Spider-Man, not be part of a bigger team. And what they did with Spider-Man anyway, they diminished him to this little kid who doesn't know what he's doing and needs help every step of the way. So, which
No, I agree.
the movies are okay, but like it shouldn't have taken 3 movies. Well, 3 and 5.5 movies with Spider-Man in it for Spider-Man to now be his own character.
Right.
But I still love No Way Home. But that's me. Like I prefer, Batman just to be Batman. Batman doesn't need Superman because how can you really justify Batman beating Superman? Comic books. Was it Stan Lee has said? When you pit 2 heroes against each other in the comic book, which character is the best? Whichever one the writer likes the most. So if you got a writer that writes a bunch of Hulk comics and they want him to do Hulk versus Wolverine, he's going to have the Hulk overpower Wolverine because that's what he knows more, blah, blah, blah. So if you just keep characters by themselves in their own box, you can expand the box a little bit and, have, do like the DC shows do. They're all independent, but they can work alongside each other at the same time. And they have these, crossovers and stuff. But I don't know. I just like things just to be what they are, rather than work trying too hard to make it bigger than it is. And that's another rambling point. I'm sorry about that, but
no worries, man. No worries.
But we can actually go from DC, which is a lot more depressing. To
something more happy.
Yes, to more established, I guess you could say, because they know more what they're doing than DC is right now. And that's Marvel. But before we do that, I got to take a quick intermission to talk about my host, Zio to Hero. And, yeah.
Hello, I'm Billy, the host of Zero to Hero podcast. And you might know Ben from the Baker Rangers, but he is also a close friend of Zero to Hero and takes part in the numbskullery that is the Bulk and Skull podcasting. Join Jimmy and myself, and sometimes Ben, with technical problems as we...
Okay, so now we are going to go... Got to change that. To Marvel. Marvel's a lot more established. It's a lot easier to talk about Marvel because they have a lot more content coming out. Because 2022 alone, you got Moon Knight, who's just about to come out in about a week and a half. You have... Jaan just disappeared. And it might just be his camera. Oh. Okay, and Moon Knight coming out. You have... What else do you... I'm not as...
Moon Knight. You have Doctor Strange Multiverse.
Oh yes, Multiverse of Madness.
Thor: Love and Thunder. What else? Am I missing something? Oh, we have Miss Marvel coming out in June.
Or the Marvels.
Is Marvel's coming out this year?
Well, it's called The Marvels, so it's not Miss Marvel. Oh, never mind.
Oh,
never mind. You said
Marvel,
Miss
the
Marvel,
TV.
the TV show. My bad.
Yeah, my bad.
Never mind. No, that's my bad. Yeah, you have a lot more stuff coming out. Stuff that's already been, and these are new things. Like Moon Knight has never been in anything. Miss Marvel's never, that's new. So, could you talk about your hype for what's going on with Marvel so far this year for this next phase?
I'm really excited for Marvel for this phase. I'm a little nervous about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness because of the cameos. I hope the cameos inside this movie actually um, have impacted the story of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness that aren't random cameos that you're just going to see randomly. But I'm extremely excited to see Moon Knight because it feels like it's going to be something really fresh, unique to the table, especially with Oscar Isaac's performance. At least what I heard from the early reviews, his performance is really great as the character of Moon Knight. And maybe they could set up the Midnight Suns afterwards, after Moon Knight, see how the TV show goes. But I really appreciate the darker tone that Marvel's bringing to the character of Moon Knight, which is some extremely exciting stuff in my opinion. Now, Thor: Love and Thunder is going to be really fun to see Natalie Portman take on the role of Lady Thor, seeing Tessa Thompson returning as Valkyrie, and having my favorite Avenger, Chris Hemsworth, playing Thor once again and bring those comedic moments as a Thor character. And the Taika Waititi, who directed Thor Ragnarok, returning for Thor: Love and Thunder, which is extremely hype to see because Taika Waititi really made that Thor character into something else in the MCU. Especially with Thor movies, Thor 1 to be much more darker movies that didn't really work well with a Marvel tone. So it's going to be really fun to see him bring that character to life once again in Thor: Love and Thunder.
What about you, John? Like, what's your hype for what Marvel's doing? Just in 2022 alone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for what Marvel's doing. Like, we went one by one through each DC project. If we did it, Marvel would be here forever. That's how much they have coming out.
Yeah.
So that's a good and bad thing. I feel like they're overstuffing a little bit, especially the Disney Plus shows. Like, I like most of them. Some of them were like, not as good as they could have been. So I'm a little worried about Moon Knight. The 6-episode structure doesn't work for me personally, especially with Marvel, how they like to tie in things to other stuff, put a lot of cameos, Easter eggs, future setup. So Moon Knight does worry me a little bit, especially because I really like the Moon Knight character from the comics as well. I'm very excited for Multiverse of Madness, but again, you have so many variants, so many things to tie into each other, and so many things to set up for the future. So the only problem I have with Marvel is that they're doing too much because they can now, basically. So it's a good and bad thing. It's a double-edged sword. Now they're like, so far they're doing Guardians, they're doing Eternals, they're doing this, that, and the other. Now they can go even crazier and crazier. But I don't know how much it's going to affect something like Multiverse of Madness or Moon Knight or anything going forward. But the one project I'm most excited for is anything that takes itself away from the multiverse. So Moon Knight would probably be my most excited thing right now.
Yeah, because I think that and Miss Marvel might be the only two things here this year that's really not going to be in. Well, I guess you could say Thor: Love and Thunder, but you would never really know with that. So I guess my biggest knock for Marvel right now is that they, for the last year now, 2 years, probably a year, a little over a year, that they've been playing this whole multiverse angle, but they kept doing it was like the boy who cried wolf. Here's a multiverse. No, it's not a multiverse. Here's a multiverse. Maybe it's not I don't know. We'll see. And then here's a multiverse, but you don't get to really see the multiverse. You see it like a little bit with Loki here and there. And then Spider-Man, multiverse, but then the multiverse, they took the multiverse back at the end of that movie. So then now you're back to the multiverse because of this whole teasing multiverse for way too much. Like, I love WandaVision. To me, that was my favorite of so far the Marvel shows. To me, they kept getting progressively worse. But I think that had to do with this continued multiverse tease just kind of got on my nerves. But now we will get a multiverse and Multiverse of Madness. you don't know if they're going to take it back either. So I'm going to watch it. Like, when the first Doctor Strange movie came out, I didn't see it in theaters. I think it's the only Marvel movie I didn't see in theaters because it didn't
Wow.
look interesting to me. But then I saw it later, and it was good. But it's not a character that he's a character that's just there. In my opinion, he's just kind of there. Not bad. That's not a bad thing. Like Benedict Cumberbatch is a great actor, but I just don't feel like Doctor Strange really adds much to I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but
Yes, Sam Raimi directing, so that excites me.
yeah, that's what makes me kind of more hesitant. Like I like Sam Raimi, but I didn't care for most of his Spider-Man movies. Like Spider-Man is my favorite
Really?
comic book character, and I made a TikTok on this once before, and I don't get a lot of hate. I just got people who are like, what are, like I guess I just wire differently. Because when the first Spider-Man movie came out, I was extremely disappointed with the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Really? Wow.
Really?
It was. I'm not gonna say anything, bad, good, but it just was too campy. The acting wasn't terribly great in that movie, and Spider-Man 2 was better, but it was just kind of like a rehash of the first movie, but without the introduction of how he became Spider-Man. This is where I'm opposite. I love Spider-Man 3. That's my favorite of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. So, I can't explain why I don't care for the other two, but I love that one. But then Amazing Spider-Man came out with Andrew Garfield. I'm like, this is my Spider-Man right here.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I
yeah.
love all three of them, though.
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I totally enjoyed Amazing Spider.
Yeah, to me, it's the best. It's still the best Spider-Man movie in my opinion. Because No Way Home is good once Andrew Garfield came in. So it was okay, and then once you saw Andrew Garfield, I don't know, maybe it's just my connection with that, and it just got better at the end. And he was the best Spider-Man in that movie. Like he made that movie.
He was definitely a standout.
Yeah. Well, you could tell that he was excited to be there. Tobey Maguire was like, it's been a while since he's been in there, and you could tell that it's been a while since he's been Spider-Man. But Andrew Garfield, you could tell that he just loved every minute. He knew he was the least popular Spider-Man. He knew that people don't care for Amazing Spider-Man 2 is probably the main reason why Sony allowed Disney or Marvel to use Spider-Man in the MCU. So he knows all that, and you could tell he played that way. I don't know if it was any of that was written in the script, like the whole "I never fought aliens" and "I'm lame."
Yeah.
You're not lame. Like
I love you guys.
Yeah. But to go back to what Marvel is doing now, Moon Knight. I don't know anything about Moon Knight, but Oscar Isaac. He's in Star Wars. Poe Dameron is a great character in the sequels, even though I don't care for the sequels terribly much, but I love him in that. And he might play Solid Snake in the Metal Gear Solid movie. I think he is. So I'm really looking forward to that, because that's again my favorite video game series, and he petitioned himself to be Solid Snake, and I think they went with that. I think Avi Arad, is that how you pronounce his name? He's a producer for Metal Gear. For the Metal Gear Solid movie. He's also used to be I don't know if he was the head of Marvel, but he produced every Marvel movie until Disney bought the rights. Then he did all the non-Disney Marvel productions. So he's the reason why we have the X-Men cartoon and everything else. So I'm looking for that. I know that's not comic book related, that's video game related, which there'll be another episode on that, because I'm really excited for the Metal Gear Solid movie, which is directed by John Roberts. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, the guy who directed King Kong or Kong Skull Island. So he's directing the Metal Gear Solid movie. So him and Oscar Isaacs. But sorry, I the thing about my show is I chase squirrels a lot. I realized on my last show that I had to edit out like 10 seconds of me rambling because I was talking about a point, I got off the point, and I jumped right back into the point. And you would have thought that listening to it normally that I would have cut stuff out, but no, that's just how I talked. I just cut one. I chase squirrels, go down rabbit holes, and chase my tail around.
No, we all do.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah. So Moon Knight, Miss Marvel. I don't know yet about Miss Marvel just because the trailer is really lighthearted, kind of probably more lighthearted than we've seen with a lot of the Marvel shows. So
little Disney Channel.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. It felt like but that doesn't mean it's not going to be good because I'm still going to watch it and enjoy it. But I don't know much about her character either. And I'm sure that's going to segue into the Marvels because the Marvels is going to have Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau as one of the characters. Because she was... What character was she in the comics? She was Miss Marvel
She
at one
is, point? Her name is Photon, I think.
Yes, Photon, yeah. So that's that I might be looking forward to. But that's not until next year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're talking about 2022 right now. And so Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, which is also going to be an extension of WandaVision, because, Wanda is going to be a part of it. I'm not quite sure how.
I think she'll be the villain for sure.
You think so?
I think so.
Go into your thoughts about that.
So, I mean, after seeing WandaVision and after seeing the trailer for Multiverse of Madness, you can kind of tell that she is going to a more dark side. After she learned all that stuff at the season finale of WandaVision, I think it just makes more sense for her to be the villain. She's obviously done some terrible stuff to the people of the town. She's obviously feeling the effects of that. And of course, she's feeling the effects of Doctor Strange also messing up the multiverse, but being seen as more of a hero and not her. So that's going to be a lot of things too. And in the trailer, you see that same dark magic she's using. It's also trapping Wong as well in the trailer. So that's going to be something as well. So they're definitely going to fight off against each other. She's also fighting Captain Marvel in the trailer, what it looks like as well. So she's definitely not a good guy here.
This Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness trailer is just showcasing the consequences of them ruining the multiverse, essentially, because obviously Warner did some bad stuff. Doctor Strange didn't intend to do bad stuff, but he accidentally screwed stuff up in the multiverse. And I think those consequences could be really exciting to see between Warner and Doctor Strange's character inside Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And I hope Marvel really explores that inside the movie. Because I think that'd be super interesting to see inside the movie.
Yeah, and Marvel, when it comes to these hyped up movies, they're notorious for fibbing a little bit in their trailers. So you might see a character that's in the trailer or tease of a character that's in the trailer that might not actually be in the movie. Or see a character that's in the trailer, but in the movie it's a different character. So
Also,
so
CGI stuff out.
Yeah. So they did that with Spider-Man. They did that with Avengers, Infinity War, with the Hulkbuster. It was the Hulk. So we kind of talked about our opinions on stuff, but what are your opinions? Because a lot of people they don't like that false advertisement when it comes to these trailers because they feel like they're being duped. I like it because if you really like, people don't want to be spoiled, but when they're not spoiled, that's when they get upset because you didn't spoil it the way they. But but then you see them, with their fan theories that they want to be true, and they talk so much. So what are your thoughts on the way Marvel kind of does this with their bigger projects, where they misdirect quite often in their trailers?
I personally love it. It just brings that unpredictability to the Marvel movie. Because we don't expect that big surprise when we see a Marvel movie, and I just love the unpredictability that Marvel brings inside their movie. That misleading a fan with a trailer is such a smart move to bring a shocking factor when you actually see the movie for the first time.
I mean, I'm
How
a
about you,
fan
John?
of it. I'm like kind of a fan of it, kind of not a fan of it. I like misdirecting people in trailers and stuff like that, but sometimes you see. I guess it's more so fans that I'm more upset about because every time Marvel thing comes out, especially when Disney Plus shows are coming out, you see a bunch of theory videos, fan casts, all that stuff, and that kind of misdirects fans as well. So there's only so much misdirection you can do. There's only so many teases you can do because you kind of set up a false expectation for fans, and you miss that false expectation by doing something different. And it's a false expectation that they don't necessarily plan to do, but they still kind of tease something that they know they're not going to do. So it's kind of confusing. So I do like the misdirection; it does make something unpredictable, but also it sets expectations that they don't plan on fulfilling, and that can be annoying when you see fans getting upset at that as well.
Well, that's true because I think to me, there's a difference between misdirecting in a trailer versus misdirection in a show. Because
Yeah.
even though I love WandaVision, I really wish Pietro Maximoff was actually him from the X-Men universe,
Yeah.
rather than some guy named Boner.
You-
So it's I think those are the misdirects that I you want to misdirect a little bit, but you don't want to you want to misdirect to where this is your misdirect, and then this is what happens. But this is your misdirect, and then this what happens. It's like that's a completely different story, because with Spider-Man,
Right.
Yeah.
they didn't show the two Spider, even though they showed scenes that had them in it, which they probably should not have shown. That scene whenever Spider-Man was taking on three villains that are on three different levels, because there's no way he can attack all three at once.
Yeah.
So I know you had the Brazilian where you saw the Brazilian trailer where you saw the lizard, move his face. But even in the regular trailer, American trailer or whatever, it cut off before that, but it didn't make sense why they would show Spider-Man going off. If the three villains were, next to each other, that's one thing. But if they're on three different levels, one person can't attack three levels from the middle. So that was unless they were wanting people to, that was a non-misdirect, I guess you could say, where they're like,
Yeah.
this will make fans think there might be something else to it, which we don't want them to know, but we want them to think that they know, because they don't set up the hype for people watching it. I felt like that they're doing the same thing with Doctor Strange, but I think they might be taking it a little bit too far with this, because that was just two people, Tobey Maguire and I said his name earlier, Andrew Garfield. But now it's like Wolverine's gonna. They've already teased Xavier in it, movie. So yeah, it's
teased Professor X.
Yeah, and it was to your point, Bilaller, of just overdoing it without having a purpose of it, because just having just random cameos is not going to fill up. It might fill up some time, but it's not going to fill up a story. So in a TV show that
feel it's not gonna feel like impact to the story inside the movie. It might get fans hyped up, sure, but once that hypeness wears off a movie, it's not gonna have the impact that you want to see inside a Marvel movie. That's the difference between random cameos versus cameos that actually have an impact to the story.
Definitely. Because just going like from one multiverse, you see the Wolverine, and then 2 seconds later you just flip to another one, you see somebody else. It just you don't want to that guy kind of reaction. You want because then you'll have two different moments. You'll have the action, what's going on in the story, and then a little squirrel chasing for a second. Then you basically lose where you're at, and it just kind of disconnects for those moments. But I'm still looking forward to it. So, and it comes out May 1st?
May
I think it's May
6th.
1st.
Yes. Which who was it on TikTok? I think it was Stand Up something. I forgot. I think his name is Stand Up. Where
Yeah.
Multiverse of Madness, MOM, and the movie comes out like right after Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that is kind of cool. So yeah, we've been chatting for an hour, and my time is 12:30, so it's 1:30 in the morning for Bilaller, so I'm sure he's ready for bed.
Yeah.
10:30 here. So
You got plenty of time.
Man, you LA time, bro.
Yeah, I'm in Central Time, so he's on Pacific. So we're gonna just take the show to a close, and I want to thank you guys for coming on, being guests on here.
Thank you for having me.
I love talking movies, even some of these movies I don't really know much about the characters, but I'm glad that you guys do. So, do you guys have any parting words to say, Jaan? Let people know where they can find you, and
yeah, so you guys can find me at Phenomenal John on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And of course, just subscribe to this podcast as well. I had a really good time on here. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
awesome. Bilaller?
Obviously, you can find me on TikTok being Simman King Bilaller. You can find me on NBA account being King Bilaller NBA 22, I think. And then you can find me on Instagram being King Bilaller 22. And working on a song that should be releasing soon. And thanks for having me on your podcast, Ben. It was an honor, a lot of fun today.
Thank you guys, and yeah, Bilaller's he's a huge Haley Steinfeld fan, so yeah, just look out. He loves to rap, and he's good. So I'm looking forward to the full release of whatever he's working on, and it's gonna be fun. And thank you again, guys, for coming onto my show, and I thank you guys for watching and listening wherever you find your podcast or on YouTube. And yeah, thank you. So if you enjoyed this episode of Baker Rangers Movie Talk, please check us out on YouTube and wherever you find your podcast. And also check out our host, Zio de Hero, wherever you find your podcast, at ziodehero.com.